First of all, I would like to say thank you to the organizer for inviting WCC from Malaysia and from Penang. Penang is a small island in Malaysia, so to give a sharing in this Asia Pacific Summit. So today my topic is victim access to justice, WCC multi-pronged approach. Okay, so why we use the words victim here? Because when we first met our client, they appear themselves as a victim. So we give them the immediate support, you know. So that's why we normally we will call our client as a victim for the first, first support that we render to them. Okay, next. So our WCC, we normally adopted this approach, which is called a victim-centered approach. So for this victim-centered approach, meaning that for the first step, we have to affirm clients' affirmations, meaning throughout the counseling sessions with these clients, we normally will try to, we try to believe the client. We believe what the victim say, what the client say. We didn't judge them, because it's very important for a victim that a counselor or a social worker believe them. Okay, so if let's say we believe them, then they can speak, they can disclose more to us. And also we need to assure them that they are not alone, because they have the support, from us, NGO, and also our agencies. And then the second step is contextualize the violence. Contextualize violence, meaning that, okay, we see this from the aspect of intersectionality. For example, intersectionality, for example, in terms of the ethnicity, class, educations, the tradition, the cultural, and also their social economic status. For example, in Malaysia, we are a country like we have multi-ethnic groups, such as we have Malay, we have Chinese, we have the Indian, and also we have some immigrants. So, for example, if a woman with higher education and higher income, and then they experience domestic violence, came to see us, compared to a woman, maybe they are from a lower income group and they have lower education level. So actually, the impact of the violence is not the same. Right, so that means we have to contextualize based on where they come from, how is their cultural background, what is their social economic status. And also, for example, in Malaysia, we have this Indian community that actually see maybe divorce is a taboo. Until today, they will see that divorce is a taboo. So when a person see divorce is a taboo, this is due to their cultural belief, So when they want to come out from the abusive relationship, it's very, very hard. And also within the whole patriarchy system, for example, if a person that they come from a family, which is the patriarchy is the patriarchy belief is so rooted in the family. So sometimes they will normalize the violence. They will just receive it, and then they just accept it, and then they see it as a normal. So this is also some things that we need to consider. And also the cycle of violence. Sometimes we will also, while interviewing the clients, we will see whether there is a cycles of violence observed in the relationship. Sometimes it's just like, common couple violence. Maybe it just happened once in the blue moon, But when this cycle of violence observed in the relationship, that means the violence can be very, very severe, and then can be escalating until the extent that maybe will cause death to the victim. Okay. Then for the third stage here, we try to explore their option, and also we try to support them for the empowerment. Through this process, maybe we will try to find out what are the resources available for them, whether they have support system, whether they have this, if let's say they want to come out from the situations, whether they have, the families that they can turn to, whether they have mothers, parents' house that they can seek temporary shelter. Okay, and then after that, we try also to facilitate the access to the protection and justice. If a case like, for example, involves safety of the clients, maybe we also will assist them in getting protection orders. And also if the case, if let's say the domestic violence or the sexual crime, the case goes to court, then we will also render our court support. Okay, the last stage will be the support for recovery. Normally, for a woman like women or children that suffer from domestic violence or sexual violence, they will have very low self-worth and also low self-esteem. So our counseling approach is trying to bring up the self-worth of the victim, and we try to find out what are their inner strengths so that they can work on this, and then they can be self-empowered. And if, let's say, if a child victim who are very traumatized, so maybe we will refer them for play therapy. And sometimes for a women who have experienced long-term abuse, they feel they lost a sense of control in their life. So throughout the counseling session, we also try, to talk to them, and then slowly we encourage them to regain some control of their lives. Okay, so this is our involvement of various agencies in our criminal justice systems for GBV victims. So when a victims, these are the agencies that they can go through. For example, they can go to the hospital, in the hospital, so the medical and evidence collections can be done there, okay? And also they can get the medical treatment. And then for the police, they will make the police report, and then police will try to investigate, to make sure that the victims is safe. And also involve social welfare. Social welfare is also an agency that actually will ensure the safety of the victim and also the welfare of the victim. In our cases in Malaysia, sometimes if let's say critical DV, domestic violence victims, maybe social welfare can, if let's say depends on their economic situation, if they say they can't afford, so sometimes they will give them the one-time fund, the support, so that they can continue with their life. And if this case successfully go to court, so there are judiciary, prosecution, and also defense counsel will be involved. So our role here, WCC, actually we will try to intersect with all these sections. So later I will explain in detail what are our roles here. So, okay, this is our roles of WCC, Women Center for Change. So normally, since 2008, we have started the collaborations with this One-Stop Crisis Center, in short form, we call it OSCC, in government hospitals to support for the rape and, the sexual violence and the domestic violence victims. So when these victims go to this OSCC for treatment and also for evidence collections, if they give consent to the hospital will refer the cases to us so that we can access to the, to the victims. At the same time, they can also go to police station to make a police report, or either they can make a police report at the One-Stop Crisis Center here. So with the consent of the client, so WCC started to intervene, and then these are the things that we are doing. We give emotional support to the client, and also we offer our counseling support. Then for child client that, like I mentioned just now, we referred them to the play therapies. So, and if let's say the case goes to court, then we will give them some critical informations on criminal justice procedures. And agencies follow up. For example, we will try to, if the client is unable to follow up with the agencies such as the police, so we will try to help them to follow up with the police. And also if let's say we see if the clients need some psychiatric assessment, we also try to connect with the hospitals so that they can help to connect, they can help to refer the cases to the hospitals. And then we will also give court support. Okay, so in WCC, actually our setting here, we have WCC, we have 2 offices actually in Penang, one in Penang Island, one in Penang mainland. So our staff strength is about 15 persons. So we have social worker and we have also advocacy officer. So normally for social worker, we will give emotional support and counseling for the victim and also their family members. And also we try to refer them for the play therapies and also in psychiatric assessment. And for advocacy officers, they are trying to help the clients to explain to them about their rights, their rights to information. Sometimes they need to know what are the procedure involved after they make police report, because a lot of laymen, they don't understand. After they make the police report, they don't know what happened. So for us, we will try to explain to them after you make the police report, and then what are the things will be happening. And then we try to explain to them if the case goes to court, and then we will explain to them all the process involved. And also, we will also, for advocacy officer, they will also try to, liaise with the investigating officer, which is the police officer, the court staff, and the prosecutors for court trial. And we also the advocacy officer will also try to arrange the court facility, because in Malaysia here, we have actually video link room, which actually for child witness, sometimes they don't have to go inside the courtroom. So they can use instead they can use the video link room. So they can actually, the judge can see her from the screen. So they don't have to, to meet face to face with the accused. So, and also there is a witness room that actually available, which they can wait while waiting for their turn to give the testimony. And then whenever there is a trial, so WCC social worker and also an advocacy officer will accompany the victims in court. So these are the facilities that I mentioned just now. For example, this is another things that our deputy public prosecutors will normally do. So we will try to arrange with the DPP, the deputy public prosecutors, in arranging a pre-briefing to the clients, so that the clients are more aware of what's happening. Sometimes because of memory, sometimes the memory might be faded and then they can't recall. So this is the chance for her to recall what has happened. And also there is try to get them to know about the facilities in the court, like just now I mentioned, the waiting room, the court, the video link room, so all this. And also, there is another thing which is we call it interpreter for translation, because in Malaysia we have Malay, we have Chinese, we have Indian, but some Chinese maybe they couldn't speak well in Bahasa Malaysia, so that's why they need interpreter. So this is the right, this is the right of the child actually to ask for an interpreter if let's say she couldn't converse well in Bahasa Malaysia. So they need an interpreter. And also they can actually, the parents, the guardian of the victim actually can also request for a closed court, so that there's no reporter when the trial is ongoing. And another one is the victim impact statement before sentencing. Sometimes this impact statement is also very important for the judge to consider whether there is a heavy punishments for the accused. Okay, so our WCC multi-pronged approach is something like this. What I mentioned just now is our victim support services. And beside this, we actually also engage with some mini research and also resource development. We also conducted training from time to time. And also we did multi-agency dialogue, national consultation at national level, and also legal lobbying. I will go through one by one. Okay, for research, actually, here we can see that actually we have done 2 mini research. One, we did it in year 2005 to 2007. It's a 3 years research project. So then we have this Seeking Justice for Victims of Sexual Crime. This book was published in 2009. Okay, For this research, we have 439 cases was investigated lah. That means in our research involved 439 cases, whereas for this research, which our book here is published in recently 2021, the sample size is much smaller, which is only 57 cases. However, we can see that from our findings, we found that actually the conviction rate for 2009, that what we see is only 4%. But in 2021, which our research was done, our sample was collected between year 2015 to 2019. So we found out our conviction rates was actually increased tremendously to 30%. And also the rate of the DNAA, discharge not amounting to acquittal, was actually reduced from 45% from our previous research, and the recent one to only 30%. So this shows that our WCC's work actually gives some impact towards the outcome of the victim in seeking justice throughout the criminal justice system. Okay, beside that, we have also some resource development. So this is our Surviving Court book, Surviving Court. So we publish a user-friendly booklet. So we have these 3 languages, available in 3 languages, Malay, English, and Mandarin, to help the survivors to understand, the court process. And beside the hard copy book, we actually also have also produced the video for Surviving Court video. So subtitled in 4 languages, Malay, English, Mandarin, and Tamil. So for those who are interested, you can always go to our WCC website, www.wccpenang.org, to download this book and also to see the Surviving Court video, which is very, very user-friendly and very easy to understand one. Okay, beside that, we also try to raise public awareness on not to blame the victim. We produce this video, namely the shower. So this video is actually, we try to raise awareness on how victims of this sexual violence are often blamed by the society. So this actually was, had, prevented them to speak out. So this video is also launched on the International Day for the Eliminations of Violence Against Women in November 25th, 2020. This you can also look up from our website. Okay, beside that, we also conducted training for the medical personnel at state level, because we found that all these nurses are actually frontliners, and actually they are handle our domestic violence and also sexual violence victim. So throughout this training, our objective is to sensitize them, on better handling of the domestic violence and sexual assault victim, so that they are more understand the needs and also the psychological behind of this type of victims. So normally our targeted group of the trainees are our nurses from this government hospital, especially the one that handling the victims, the GBV victims, which is attached at this one-stop crisis center unit. And also at district level, we also conducted training for the health clinic nurses, and some private hospital even invited WCC to train their trainee doctors and nurses. Okay, beside that, we also conducted training for the enforcement officer at national and state level. This is also to train them so that they are more understand about the victim's rights in court, and then try to avoid the secondary victimizations faced by the victim. Because when we see if a judge or if a police officer is not sensitive enough towards the needs of a victim, or towards the trauma level that experienced by the victims, it can be very, this experience can be very painful for the victim. So the target group of these type of trainings are our prosecutors, our judiciary at this National Judicial and Legal Training Institute. Every year they were invited WCC to give such training. And also beside that, we also train the court interpreters, police and welfare officers. Okay, this is another one that WCC's collaborated with these our agencies. At state level, we have actually these multi-agencies meetings and dialogues, you know. The first one here, the multi-agency meeting is like, we initially, WCC initiated these interagency meetings in 2011, but now it's being coordinated by the Penang State Health Department and the hospitals. So mainly the attendees of the meeting here is the hospitals involved, these hospitals in Penang State or SCC hospitals, or the doctors, the nurses from the hospitals in Penang State, and also involve police officers, welfare, and WCC is the only NGOs that actually attended this meeting, because this meeting was actually initiated by WCC. Okay, so throughout this meeting, we can actually understand our, so that we can understand the challenges while we handle the victims. And beside that, this is another type of dialogue that we are actually doing twice a year. This is, we call it multi-agency dialogue. So this is more towards to advocate the victim's right in court. So this will be the difference between this dialogue and this meeting. This one we involve the prosecutors, judiciary, police, hospitals, legal aid department, and WCC. So throughout this dialogue, WCC will try to bring up certain cases that we face challenges when we try to support our victim in court. So, yeah. Okay, this is another national engagement. Okay, in 2015, WCC organized a national consultations in this Putrajaya. Okay, that means in our in Kuala Lumpur. So we try to bring all the stakeholders together, meaning that all the stakeholders, for example, like judiciary, the police officers, welfare officers, Malaysian Bar, and also other NGOs under the JAC group, okay, the Joint Action Group for Equality. So we'll try to bring them together, and then we discuss and we recommend ways to improve the rights of the vulnerable witnesses. So out of this one-day training, one-day national consultations, WCC published these proceedings of the national consultation on the rights of vulnerable witnesses in court in 2017. So this is also available at our website. You can download it for free. If let's say you want to purchase a hard copy, is also can. And at the national level, we also take part in these legal reforms. WCC as part of this joint action group for gender equality. So we also advocate for legal and policy reform. For example, like our Domestic Violence Act. When they want to improve the law or the act. So WCC normally will together with this joint action group, we will give input. And WCC was also a member of this government task force on this Sexual Offences Against Children's Act, which is passed in 2017. So with this act, our child victims, they included this child grooming and also child pornography, so which are the certain things that which is not taken care by the Child Act. Okay, moving forward to support these GBV survivors. So we will continue to, to do our victim support services. And this is also needed at the state and national levels so that our victims can access justice better. And this multi-pronged approach is actually adopted by WCC, and WCC is the only NGO, I can say that it's the only NGO in Malaysia that actually we do from the victims until support the victims, and we collaborated with the hospitals, and also we conducted trainings, and also we involved at these national levels for this lobbying. So the good partnerships of this WCC and the hospital and other agencies is also very good in helping WCCs to assess our victims. And the victim-centered approach is actually we let the client, the survivors feel that they are supported and they are empowered, then actually they are confident enough to pursue the case in the court, and also it's good for their recovery. Lastly, the training and the enforcement agencies appear not so sensitive, because no doubt we are trying very hard, to push, but sometimes we also face challenges where the enforcement officers, like for example, police officers, are not sensitive enough towards the victim's needs. So this training has to be conducted from time to time, so that we will assure that the quality of service can be achieved. That's all for my presentation. So we have 2 offices here, one in Penang Island, one is in Penang mainland. So this is our website. Our resources can be downloaded for free. And this is our email, and this is our Facebook. Okay, thank you very much.